Hey everybody, how you doing? Today we're going to be working on a 2003 Mercury Mountaineer with a 4.6 liter V8. Today we got some issues with the vehicle stalling while driving, and the left front wheel is humming or grinding while driving. So we're going to go through the process of diagnosing and repair this issue. Okay, so the first thing I did was connect my scan tool, and as you can see we have a P0506 idle air control system revolutions per minute lower than expected. And then this may be pertaining to our issue with the grinding or humming from the left front wheel. We have a left front wheel speed sensor input circuit malfunction, which could mean that the bearing is no good and that the clearance for the sensor is no longer within specification. So that may need to be repaired or replaced. Okay, so I'm now going to start the vehicle up and see if I can get it to stall. It's running at a very low RPM, so you probably can't tell from the sound, but it's, if you could, yeah, and it just stalled. So the engine did stall, and we do have a P0506 code, and so we're going to go ahead and just replace the idle air control valve. And I am going to check the old one before I replace it, but I have a pretty good hunch that it's no good. This customer has been here before, and I did clean it once, and this code did come back. So we're going to go ahead and replace it with a fresh and new one. Alright everyone, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and replace the idle air control valve. And to do that, I'm going to need to remove the engine cover, and it looks like there's just two 12mm nuts in the front, and probably some grommets around the rest. We're going to go ahead and remove that now. Okay, got those two nuts off, and now we should be able to just lift up and remove the engine cover. We can just set that to the side, and now we can locate our idle air control valve, which is right here. That's our idle air control valve right here, and we're going to go ahead and replace that guy. Okay guys, so the first thing we want to do is remove this air hose here, and that's basically your air in from the idle air control valve, and it runs over to the air box or intake piping. So we're going to go ahead and pull that guy off, and that should let us get to our bolts down there. You might need a pair of pliers to wiggle that. That's what I'm going to do. And of course you don't want to tear the piping, so you want to get it on there to where you don't tear the rubber. So I'm just going to do it real soft and try and get that thing to turn back and forth so that I can pull it off of there. Alright, so it looks like it's loose now. So I'm just going to go ahead and, pull that guy out of our way, and it's out. Then we can go for this connector here. Just pinch and pull, and that's out of our way. And then there's two 8mm nut bolts, one on the bottom and one on the top, and that idle air control valve will come right off. Okay, so I've just got a 1/4" ratchet with an 8mm socket on it, a deep socket, and I'm going to go ahead and remove these two bolts. Go ahead and loosen the bottom one, loosen the top one, and then you should be able to get them out with your fingers pretty easily. There's the top one coming out pretty easily. Probably don't want to drop these. And then you might be able to reach in there and get the other one with your finger, or you can use the socket by itself, take it off of there and use that as a kind of a screwdriver. Yeah, that's working for me. Sorry, I know you guys can't see that very well, but we're getting there. It actually dropped down pretty low when you see it kind of flipped over, so it let me get that bolt out pretty easily. Pull our old idle air control valve out. And the way you can test these is you can plug it in to the connector, shine a flashlight in there, and turn the key on and off and see if the actuator moves on the inside. And if it does, then 10 to 1 you've got a good idle air control valve, but if it doesn't move, then it's no good. I'm just replacing it on customer's request. Not going to try and clean it again this time. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and replace it. Okay guys, so before you reinstall, make sure you have a good gasket surface to sit on. Make sure you have your new gasket and your new idle air control valve. We're going to go ahead and reinstall this guy. So when you're reinstalling this, the best thing you can do for yourself is to put the bolt through the top and then lay the gasket on the bolt so that it doesn't fall down when you're trying to put the idle air control valve back in. And then go ahead and start the top bolt with your fingers. Get it all lined up right. And then when you get that one in, you can swing that gasket around if it's moved and put that bottom bolt in. You shouldn't have any problems. Okay, got the top one on, got the bottom one on. Now we can just tighten them with a ratchet. Now I don't have specific torque numbers on this, and I don't have a small torque wrench anyway to fit in here, so to me, I'm just going to tighten them down to where I feel is adequate for a paper gasket. And so they weren't super tight, so don't go insane with them and strip them out, because this is an aluminum upper intake, so don't go crazy, but make sure it's seated, of course. Go ahead and reinstall this electrical connector, and then make sure the wires are okay too before you connect it, because you can also get a code from that. You know, the wiring harness, this little harness or pigtail, can cause this not to work. So make sure you check that out. Then you can go ahead and reinstall this guy that was in front of the idle air control valve. And then any other hoses that you've disconnected, make sure you reinstall those. Make sure they're still connected in where they should be, and put things as they were. And then we can go ahead and reinstall our engine cover again, and this guy's done. And then of course, you want to go ahead and start the vehicle up and verify the repair. Make sure she's running how she should. Now that is exactly the idle you should have. This thing was idling at around maybe 500 RPMs, and that's low for any vehicle. So you guys can hear it running now because the idle isn't so low. That's going to be a pretty happy customer. Okay, so the car's been running for about, I don't know, something like 10 minutes. And as you can see, our idle is back to around 1,000 RPMs where it should be. So that's a good repair.